Harper Audio presents Partridge, We Need to Talk About Alan, by Alan Partridge, with Rob Gibbons, Neil Gibbons, Armando Iannucci and Steve Coogan. This is Alan Partridge. 1. Beginnings. When I was 8 years old, I suffered a nosebleed so profuse and generous, I bolted from the schoolyard and sought solace in the first-class countryside of Norfolk. Nosebleeds were a pretty common feature of my childhood, caused variously by physical exercise, spicy food, bright sunlight, embarrassment, dairy, shouting, hearing or doing, and fiddling with my nose. And my school friends were wise to it. More impressively, they'd worked out that they could induce a hemorrhage themselves by tethering me to the roundabout with the strap of my own school bag and letting the centrifugal force do the rest. Unbowed, I refused to accept this affliction, and would sneak into the yard alone after school and subject myself to a few turns of the ride once or twice a week. This went on until I developed enough tolerance to prevent the bleeding at the age of about 16. But this nosebleed was hefty, brought on by a perfect storm of country dancing, hot weather, and the high pollen count. As it spread and dried on my face and neck, I knew I couldn't face the juvenile tittering of my class colleagues, which is how I came to wander the leafy idyls on the outskirts of Norwich. Had this been 2011, I'd probably have returned to school with some Uzis to give my classmates something to really laugh about. But this was a different and better time. So I walked through the countryside and I bathed in the majesty of nature, in quite a mature way for an 8-year-old. It was quiet, peaceful. The only soul I encountered was a lady rambler, who literally ran when I smiled at her. The bleeding was very profuse. Eventually I found myself stood at the verge of a copse, directly in front of a tree. I didn't remember approaching it, but there I was, standing and gawping at a single tree. Why, I thought, why this tree? What is it about this simple field maple that makes it stand out from the others? It's not the biggest, the strongest, the coolest, the best at PE. Why am I being hauled into the tractor beam of this tree, over and above the millions of other ordinary trees? Well, I guess it had a certain something. At ease with itself, and blessed with a gentle authority. It had class and spunk. Then it hit me, the thought. It's me, I exclaimed. I am that tree. I personify its standout quality. Some people might say that's arrogant. Arrogant? Actually accurate. What has made me different from the others? How, and these were pretty much my exact words, even at the age of 8, did I come to be born with this aura of otherness, this je ne sais quoi? I stood and looked at the tree, and thoughts tumbled around my head like trainers in a washing machine. What made me thus? What made me thus? What made me thus? And as the memories swirled around, like the trainers I mentioned in the previous paragraph, all that could be heard was the pitter-patter of blood. My nose was still piddling the stuff, as it dripped from my nose and chin and onto my shoes. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Pitter-patter goes the rain on the window. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. And outside, cars zoom up and down the road, some of them dropping down into second to turn right into Gayton Road. On the pavement, people hurry and scurry, both to and fro. A clap of thunder, bam! And some really gusty wind. Everyone agrees it's a pretty dramatic evening all round. Pan right, it's a hospital room. A clammy, pregnant woman lies spread-eagled on the bed and is about to produce pitter-patter of her own. She's not going to wet herself, although that's often a distressing side effect of childbirth. I'm referring to the pitter-patter of children's feet. "Stand back," says the midwife. "Her contraptions are massive. Get ready." "Looks like Anthony Eden's about to be named Prime Minister," mutters a nurse as she strolls past the door. "And Chelsea are about to win the First Division title," replies an orderly, almost certainly not educated enough to follow politics. In the corner of the room, Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley blasts from the radio, quietly. You see, this wasn't now, it's then. The present tense used in this passage is just a literary device so that this next bit comes as a surprise. The scene is actually unfurling in 1955. The hospital,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?